Would you believe me if I said that's
We have art tracing drama, but this is like the craziest reverse art tracing drama ever.
Tracing in the art community, the do's and the don'ts. Tracing in the art community has always been a hassle to deal with. But let's see what we are talking about first. What is tracing? Remember when you were a kid and had that little tablet that lit up? Maybe you didn't have one, but maybe you had a window where you could catch a sunlight and do the same thing. You had to lay your 2 sheets of paper on top of it, one with a drawing and one blank. Then you trace over the drawing because you could see it on the blank piece of paper. That's basically what tracing is. Now, when you're a kid, it's not that big of a deal because you're not supposed to access social media and you shouldn't be able to lie about it. Well, you could lie about it to your friends or your teacher. For example, my own experience in tracing was when I was 6 and I had to draw something to illustrate poetry. It was basically a homework. I traced the drawing of a unicorn I found online because I did not want to do it by myself. I didn't have the skills and because it was for the day after. I handed back my homework to my teacher and I never thought about it again. But did that help me get better at drawing? Not exactly, because I didn't have the capacity, the brain capacity to know how to draw in an efficient way. And I'm gonna try to teach you to do that in that video. So I hope that you are not gonna be mad at me for teaching you why you shouldn't trace or why you shouldn't trace the way you're doing it. In today's case, I am going to talk about artists on social media, and in this specific situation, people pretending their traced art is not, and that are denying any accusation people bring to them. But to start with, let's see why people are tracing. Like, what are the main reasons people can be tracing? There are many reasons, we are just gonna see a few of them, which I consider to be the main. Youth. Young people tend to not understand the problem with it until they get older, like I did. And they now can get onto social media, which I could not do at my age of 7, and I didn't have a phone. Laziness. Some people just don't care much about improving themselves and only like the attention they get from the art, which is pretty sad, and I don't think you should do something like that when it comes to a passion. Lack of skill and fear of being mocked. Those two kind of come together. Just imagine you're 30 and can't even draw a circle, am I right? Most of us can't. But it also covers those who can't draw one particular element of their piece, and they resign themselves to tracing that element. Lack of time. Maintaining a presence on social media can be draining, especially when the platforms push you to post often to stay on people's For You page. Even though you're not a machine, you can't produce every day to post. Tracing is a way to gain time for certain people. And, to be honest, you can find that occurrence of tracing with professional artists. But it's another method, and we are going to talk about it a little bit later. Okay, now that we have some of the main reasons laid out, why is tracing such a bad habit? Is it really that bad to trace anyway? Social media is not real life and it doesn't affect anyone. Well, except it does. In an indie artist's life, social media is often their main source of income. Since they find and build their community on these platforms, they gain the money from that community on these platforms through PayPal or other ways to bring money to them. I don't know, online banks. Yet again, one could argue that said artist's community will not be impacted by someone tracing their art, because people specifically want art from that artist, not some kind of ripoff coming from who knows who. To that I say yes, but no. Sadly, not everyone is like that, and people that are unable to buy the art from the original artist, either because they lack money or simply prefer a more affordable option, will consider buying the ripoff instead of the real thing, if they deem it good enough, that is. So these people, instead of saving up to buy from the original artist, which is the rightful owner of his style and his drawing, well, they are gonna save money to buy from a ripoff. And sometimes they don't even know that it's a ripoff, because that kind of people don't really want anyone else to know, because it gives them a bad reputation, which we'll be talking about right now. Tracing and being proven to be a tracer can ruin your reputation as an artist. Rare are the people ready to forgive that kind of behavior. Nobody appreciates a thief. It will not get you a job in the long run, and you are not going to be appreciated for what you can create. Artists talk among themselves and will warn each other about you. And in the more mainstream field with a job that requires drawing skills, you will get found out. And companies can discredit you or just not hire you. In art school, it's the same thing. If the teachers find out, you're cooked. Reputation is important. Don't destroy it before you even give yourself a chance to build it. I have another anecdote about that. In art school, I had a colleague that traced every single work. We will call him D to make it easier to talk about him. He didn't get found out by the teachers, and I was very late to find out about it myself. But point is, he was a tracer, and you know what it did? It made him fast, just like tracer in Overwatch. Don't know? Okay. So it made him faster than most of us in the class. I personally was on the writing field because our class was separated in two fields: graphic designers and writers. Most of the times, even though we often merged ideas and helped each other in our different fields, writers were the one to tell graphic designers what they needed to do. And I got to work with Dee a lot. But let me tell you, Dee's incapacity to adapt his artwork to what he was requested to do was very annoying. On top of that, the guy always fully finished his piece without checking with us before to see if everything was okay. We're supposed to see a sketch or something like that to be able to say yes, no, make it a little bit more like that or like this. We had to ask him to redo things and check with us constantly. D traced like there was no tomorrow. And because he was fast and we had deadlines, he was often selected as the main graphic designer, while others did the sketching job, which was not right. It stole opportunities to improve and get their work out there for people willing to do things right. On top of that, flexibility and adaptation is very important in that kind of field, and his way of tracing did not make him flexible one bit. That and his incapacity to accept criticism. And you know what? The other graphic designers and I graduated. And what did he do? He quit. Currently, he is still tracing, and I can prove it right now. It's very easy to see and to spot when he is tracing very known licenses. This is fairy tale. Those images I found were on the first page of Google Image, and I didn't have to do a reverse image search. He didn't credit them in his Instagram post, and that's pretty sad. This post is from the 2nd of February 2025. He's still tracing to this day. He has not improved from 2020. It's been 5 years since we worked together. Don't you see a problem there? On top of that, tracing like he did, and like most people do, will really never improve your skill set. Nor will it improve your self-confidence or your ability to create on your own in an effective way. Because instead of focusing on what is important to cultivate your own skills and style, you just mindlessly take advantage of someone else's art. Dee was unable to adapt quickly to any work demands because nothing came directly from him. And doing this, he did not improve his autonomy skill or perspective, or as far as I'm aware, he did not improve at all. Only thing he did improve It is coloring ability. And that's not like take a coloring book at this point. Please. Stealing is not great, lying is not great, being found out doesn't feel great, but even more important than that, why are you drawing just to get some fame from another creator's passion? Why are you stealing somebody else's work to make money out of it? If you're just lazy, I cannot do anything for you. But if you are scared and feel bad about your own skill, please let me teach you how to use tracing as a real learning experience. You can use tracing in your art journey. We are going to see that right now. Can tracing be a good thing? Yes, but you have to do it correctly. In that section, I will show you ways to trace better. You only need to practice, and at whatever step you are, you will end up improving. One day, you won't even need to trace anymore. But to be clear, let's now make a little list of everything you shouldn't do while tracing. Trace over somebody else's art and pass it as your own. Nobody likes a liar or a thief, I've already told you that. Sell your traced art. Duh. This is not yours to sell. Forget to mention the original creator in a proper and visible way. You might want to be completely clear about your process. This is roughly what you need not to do as someone who wants to improve from tracing. Lots of artists can be quite negative about this whole topic. But let me tell you, I hold no grief against people that are in search of bettering themselves. There are good ways to use tracing in your art journey, and we are going to see some exercise that will help you enhance your skills with tracing. For example, tracing can improve your muscle memory, doing lines over and over again, doing steps over and over again. In dance, it's muscle memory, and repeating a movement will help you learn it. If you don't know what muscle memory is, it's the capacity of your body to remember movements. You use it when you dance, move, and even when you draw. It gives you stability and confidence. Tracing can greatly improve your muscle memory, as the only thing you will be thinking about is what you are tracing and how you are tracing it. But I am not talking about mindlessly tracing random silhouettes or artworks. There are plenty of resources online for your studies. I'm going to list some on the side of the screen. And I can safely say that even if you want to draw in a manga style, in a cartoonish style, tracing from real people is going to teach you the basics. You will be able to find your own style in your own time, and that's going to be amazing. You know, it's fine to find your own style. You will be able to warp the world at the image that you have in your little brain, okay? But let's talk about real people right now and real proportions. So, your muscle memory is when you do things over and over again. It's great to do it with tracing because you don't have to think about anything else than tracing and doing it over and over and over again. But there are some exercises that you have to do over and over and over again to be able to properly use your muscle memory. So, master the line of action. You might or might not have heard about it, but let's explain what's the line of action. Your line of action is the main line that goes through the body when it's posing. I'll be showing you an example on the screen. It usually goes from the head to one foot for me, or from one hand to the toes if those are your leading points. It's the exercise you have to find the line of action of the pose you are looking at. Usually, if you want to make a drawing dynamic, it's your very baseline to start with. Other lines, such as the other leg, for example, will often cross your line of action and bring interesting movement to the pose. I find dancers really good picks to train yourself with. Gymnasts can also be a good support, and even conductors if you want to do a cool maid or something. The other thing you have to exercise with your muscle memory is the structural or shape blockout, and it will also need a little bit of your visual memory. I am very sorry if you keep seeing people as little shapes all the time after that video or after your exercises, but The exercise here is to cut the thing you want to draw in different shapes. Mostly simple shapes that you will use to decompose how the model works. I tend to use cubes because it's easier to see the 3D form of them, but beans are also a great way to simulate the body movement. Springs can also help you with the depth. If I remember correctly, an advice I read online, you will find your method. I'm just advising you to try everything. The goal is overall to train your brain to be able to easily translate a visual into simple shapes. It will make it easier to sketch. All of this exercise will make you improve and help you understand how different styles work, how they change proportions in cartoons, what makes a chibi character a chibi, and why this is still a face and this is confusing. Anyway, I also told you we were going to talk a little bit about professionals tracing for their work. Well, professionals do trace on their own work to gain time, but they use their own pictures, their own bodies, their own models. They don't take random people on the internet without asking them, so they can do it. They can trace themselves. You can even trace yourself. Take a picture of yourself and trace yourself. Paint over your body, paint over yourself. Nobody has anything to say about it because you are your own person and you have the rights on your body. I hope so. That's what professional artists do to gain time, and it's efficient. Anyway, in that case, you can also post your traced work online. If you want to maintain a social media presence, that's kind of what you have to do when you exercise. But you have to classify it clearly as a study and credit the original artist or person on the chosen reference. If you train with something you can't credit the source of, don't post it. People and potential followers are way more inclined to express sympathy for someone who is exercising. And you will find support and your own community. What gives? You might also influence another artist to do the same and help people looking to improve find a way to do it. Exercising is important, and a lot of people are willing to help you with that. So many tutorials exist. Free models, free resources, and all you need is time that you are willing to put into your passion. Browsing for poses will bring you inspiration. Exercising will bring you knowledge and boldness. Seeing how your art evolves will give you the confidence you might lack from tracing. You have a capacity to improve and develop your ability. Don't waste it. Be respectful, trace better, and even if you've been called out for tracing before, please don't feel like it's the end of time. Stop lying. Don't do it again. It's going to be okay. There is much more drama that will erase you from people's memory, and if you don't keep doing what you're doing, it will get better. Make your journey something you are going to be proud of. Don't stay an imposter. The goal is to distance yourself from tracing little by understanding how to draw without it. You'll get to it. And for God's sake, don't listen to people that are saying using reference is bad, because those are a whole other topic I'll be glad to talk about another time. Thank you for listening. It was Oliver's Corner. I'm out.
No.